Welcome to Have I Got News for You? I'm David Mitchell. In the news this week, at a Conservative Party campaign meeting, Ian Duncan Smith realises he's going to be stuck next to the same person for the next 3.5 hours. Following Nigel Farage's shocked decision not to contest Tory seats, there are suspicions that the cause was a voodoo doll. And at a London hospital, an elderly patient arrives for his regular prostate examination.
Hi, how you doing? We're back and we're ready for it all over again.
On Ian's team tonight is a comedian who's talked about her epilepsy in her stand-up act and recently won the So You Think You're Funny competition, which was great until she had to pose with her award for the paparazzi. Please welcome Maisie Adam. And with Paul tonight is a former Conservative minister who stood for the Tory leadership and, in the middle of one TV debate, famously took off his tie, though in the end he lost out to a man who famously takes off his trousers. Please welcome Rory Stewart. And we start with the bigger stories of the week. Paul and Rory, take a look at this.
Yes, a fatal combination of privileged and thick.
This is Prince Andrew's first job.
In Woking, yeah. And that's them thinking, why on earth did I ever do that interview? So he gave this interview where he lacked empathy, not used to apologising for things, and thought it went really well.
It was perfect in every way. If you'd planned a 1-hour exercise in losing public sympathy, but at the end of it, your mother sacks you... I mean, that's a pretty bad showing.
I'm interested in your phrase, losing public sympathy. when do you think he was endowed with public sympathy?
When he was working in that pizza restaurant, when he was flipping the things in the
Yes.
film. Yeah,
So he's always been a tosser.
What did he announce on Wednesday?
He's stepping back.
Stepping back.
On the cliff.
Yeah. He's stepping back. He released a letter saying he decided to stand down from public life. If you need somewhere to lay low, I know of a house in New York that's conveniently up.
He's not really giving up public life. Public life is giving him up.
Yeah.
And he's been dropped by a number of charities. Normally, if you're in disgrace, you go and do charitable work, but he's been dropped by charities.
Yes, he's also giving up his sovereign grant of taxpayer money, amounting to £249,000 a year. He'll just have to rely on handouts from his mum to supplement his meagre personal fortune of £57 million.
That is the big story, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a great interview, but as ever in Britain, it was just all about sex. And it should have been about money, because how is he so rich?
Money is better than sex and can be exchanged for sex. What's the good news for Prince Andrew in all of this?
Was it unlimited refills at Pizza Express Woking?
I think even Pizza Express are going to disown him, you know.
No. Queen, Charity and Pizza Express Woking.
He might sponsor a pizza thick and crusty.
And there's a possibility, of course, that this has all been concocted by Pizza Express to
It's
build
an
up
ad
their
campaign.
publicity, like that whole story about them going bankrupt that never came to anything.
Yeah, it's exactly the sort of publicity any pizza chain would be looking for.
Yeah.
Disgraced member of the royal family with paedophile connections. Garlic bread half price off.
The good news for him, he's having to withdraw, among the many things he's having to withdraw from, it's his role as patron of the English National Ballet. According to a source at the English National Ballet, he does not like ballet. But how did he think the interview went?
Very well, he thought it went very well.
A palace source told The Sun he's cock-a-hoop. He seriously believes he's pulled off a master triumph.
I mean, I like the idea that someone said it was a car crash, as though the royal family cared about...
Any offers of panto this season?
We learnt some things about social etiquette during Andrew's interview. When is a birthday party not a birthday party?
Oh, when it's a straightforward shooting party.
Let's have a look.
Am I right in thinking you threw a birthday party for Epstein's girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, at Sandringham?
No, it was a shooting weekend.
A shooting weekend?
Just a straightforward shooting weekend.
We've all been there. We've all been there. Straightforward shooting.
We give the working class a 100-yard start.
Ghislaine Maxwell features a lot in this story.
She appears to be the procuress, the pimp in this story.
Yes, when was the last time she and the prince had contact?
Earlier this year.
Yes, let's have a look.
When was your last contact with her?
It was earlier this year, funny enough, in the summer, in the spring, summer.
About what?
She was here doing some rally.
So even though he had by then been arrested and was facing charges of sex trafficking?
No. This was early spring, I think. It was long, because when was he arrested?
July.
No, it was before July.
Every bit of that's weird. I mean, Ghislaine Maxwell is here. She's here for a rally. What type of rally?
Yeah.
Just a straightforward shooting rally.
This is where the working class are given cars.
Where else has Andrew appeared with Ghislaine?
Or in recent times, or historically?
According to the Times, Andrew was wildly criticised after he appeared with Ghislaine Maxwell at a pimps and prostitutes-themed party. In fact, that
Come as you are.
Ghislaine Maxwell denies any wrongdoing.
Ah.
Yeah, from wherever she's hiding. Why did Andrew choose to stay with Epstein when he...
It was convenient because there's nowhere else in New York you can stay. It's either that or sleep under the Statue of Liberty. They don't have any hotels in New York.
He had to stay with Epstein.
Yeah.
Because Gary Glitter was busy.
We also discovered, to our delight, that Prince Andrew doesn't sweat at all. Why is that?
Because he was shot at in the Falklands War.
He's very specific about it, isn't he? He says, at that stage, I didn't sweat. So now he sweats, but there was some sort of moment a few months ago when he didn't sweat. And then he pauses just to get... Yeah, no, I'm really sure that in that month I was not sweating.
Let me check my sweating diary.
Yes.
No, I wasn't.
You can imagine a James Bond villain who didn't sweat because of something like that. It's a sort of Ian Fleming thing, isn't it?
It'd be like the least badass movie of all time. Like, no, Mr. Bond, I expect you to perspire.
The thing is, it would be a really serious condition, because if you can't sweat, you can't regulate your own body's temperature. He would have to never go into a too warm a room, or he'd die of heat exhaustion.
It's worth giving it a go, though, isn't it?
Much shock and outrage is coming from people who think Andrew should have been more dishonest in the interview. Who are these people?
Presumably my colleagues.
Actually, assorted PR gurus and royal watchers who are demanding to know why he wasn't coached for the interview. According to Penny Junor, he should have been properly briefed. Politicians don't answer the questions they are asked. They give the answer they want. I don't think he's bright enough.
Yeah.
So how bright are the royals? Rory, weren't you a private tutor to William and Harry?
I was, but they were 5 and 8. So I'm not really into dissing on my 5 and 8-year-olds.
So when you say you're not into dissing on them,
Yeah.
that means you're certainly not going to just pay them a compliment and say they were very bright lads. Yes, this is Prince Andrew's attempt to clear his name, which only resulted in a total clearing of his diary. One critic of Andrew's decision to discuss his sexual activity was former royal advisor Dickie Arbiter. The perfect name for a sort of penis referee. According to the Mirror, it's not just Andrew who is suffering. Princess Beatrice may be forced into having a private wedding in a castle. Even worse, Ray's mobile disco refuses to be associated. According to the Mail, Virginia Giuffre claimed that when Prince Andrew visited Epstein, she was told to take him upstairs to the dungeon. An upstairs dungeon? Jesus, how posh are these people? According to The Sun, Andrew has scrapped a visit to flood-hit villages in Yorkshire. Shame. They were hoping to use him as a sandbag due to his unique ability to retain moisture. Now, Ian and Maisie, take a look at this.
Oh, float like a butterfly, look like a mammoth.
That's the replacement bus.
Digging for victory.
It's the big election debate.
Yes, this is the ITV leaders' debate, which is so boring it makes you really miss the heady days of wall-to-wall Brexit negotiations. So Boris Johnson, as we saw, tried to psych Jeremy out by visiting a boxing ring before the debate. But how did Jeremy get himself in shape for the big fight?
Oh, I don't know. Ate his own jam that he's been making. Something really Corbyn-like that.
Let's have a look at how he got ready for the big fight.
And what preparation have you been doing?
Well, I've eaten a Caesar salad.
I wasn't even far off with the jam.
No, he wouldn't say whether it was romaine lettuce or not.
Lots of leaves.
Well... I don't know what you people want.
Entertainment. And they're starved of it. Poor devils.
Did you see at the end of the debate, they were asked to say what presents they would exchange to each other for Christmas? And eventually, Boris got round to going, oh, OK, I'd give him some jams. And then Jeremy was like, well, I make my own. It's like, oh, you're hard. Like...
What did you make of the beginning of the debate?
Is that where they shook hands?
No, let's have a look.
We're live in Salford for a TV first. It's Boris Johnson versus Jeremy Corbyn. The ITV debate.
The worst remake of Charlie's Angels, isn't it?
That thing, watching it, is like some very strange kind of ritualistic sport, like sort of sumo wrestling, where you watch for sort of an hour, waiting to see what... And nothing happens, but there are all these people sort of commentating, watch this, and one person just goes, get Brexit done, get Brexit done, get Brexit done. The other one goes, NHS, NHS, NHS.
What sumo wrestling matches have you been to?
I mean, they did get some laughs, both of them, but not deliberately.
Yes. What was Boris's when he said, I think trust is important?
And that's a good joke from him. And then Jeremy had an absolute corker, which was that his position on Brexit is clear. Brilliant. I mean, you've got to hand it to them. I mean, they're funny guys.
Yeah, well, yes. Something I've always wanted to ask you, Rory, is when you were campaigning to be fantasist-in-chief, why did you take your tie off and sit in a funny way in the middle of that?
The moment where it went really wrong for me is about 3 minutes before that, somebody's just said, will everybody say what tax cuts you're going to offer? And I say, well, obviously, I'm not going to do any tax cuts because, you know, I think we need to increase spending. We shouldn't be cutting taxes. And there's this terrible kind of silence. And I can see 4 colleagues turn to me and saying, you're dead.
It sounds like such a lovely environment,
Yeah.
the Conservative Party. Why were the Tories accused of misleading the public during the debate?
The Tory website, they changed the name of it to Fact Check, as though they were no longer a political party, but an independent group, and were just telling lies online instead of on a bus. Because there are lots of quite good fact-checking sites which help you guess whether people are lying or not. And the Tory party isn't going to be one of them. I mean, nor any other party. I mean, they're politicians, they're political parties. They're trying to persuade you. This is meant to be an independent site. Yeah. I've gone very, very serious.
Why was ITV's decision not to allow Swinson onto the debate actually good news for the Lib Dems?
Viewers dislike Jo Swinson the more and more they see her. That's correct. And how awful's that? Like, of all the bad feedback you can get from the public, it's like they're sort of here and there about your policies, but you...
Yes, according to The Times, a new poll by YouGov this week shows that the more voters see of Jo Swinson, the less they like her.
But I think it's a development, isn't it? The more they see all of us, the more they dislike us. So
this programme's been running for 29 years.
This is the debate between Corbyn and Johnson, live on TV, which was a historic first, as for once, Carrie Symonds knew exactly where Boris was for an hour in the evening. Also, during the debate, Jeremy Corbyn told a story about a friend who'd turned up at a hospital which looked like Beirut, in that it was chaos. And Jeremy Corbyn was in the corner laying a wreath for a terrorist. The highlight of the debate for Johnson was Corbyn's evident discomfort over Brexit. In fact, Boris hasn't enjoyed seeing someone squirming so much on a podium since he first met Jennifer Arcuri. There was a lot of other politics stories this week, so let's play the Politics Randomizer.
Hey!
Yeah, fingers on buzzers, everyone.
Yeah.
Here's the first one.
Well, you've just mentioned her, haven't you? I think she gave an interview somewhere where she said after the media attention that she was getting a couple of weeks back, she appealed to Boris, not for the first time, to help her with her media thing, but he cold-shouldered her.
Addressing Boris directly, she said, "I've kept your secrets and I've been your friend. I'm terribly heartbroken by the way you have cast me aside like I am some gremlin."
Gremlin.
Which is exactly what someone would say if nothing happened, which is what you keep saying. Nothing happened. Nothing happened.
That's what you always say about a political or business relationship that's gone on to hard times. You say you're heartbroken, don't you? And you feel it's been
cast
aside
aside like a one-night stand is also what she said, isn't it?
Yes, it's what the email I got when we moved from Ocado to Sainsbury's online, you know. Who did Jennifer Arcuri fail to impress this week?
Lorraine Kelly.
She'd refused to say the one thing she was on the show to say.
Yeah.
And Lorraine Kelly said, well, why did you even appear?
Yeah.
Which, you know, is not a good precedent for people appearing on breakfast telly.
Yes, if you're not going to say something interesting and insightful, what's the point of this programme? Oh, bollocks. Let's have a look at that.
What's the point? Coming on, not answering any questions. Point that. Anyway, and I know it doesn't make any sense. What's the point of you coming on and then not saying anything?
I'm sorry?
What is the point of you coming on the TV to clear the air and then you don't say anything?
Why? I believe I said a few things. What is it that you're looking for that I say?
Well, you didn't answer any of the questions that were put to you, and I just don't see the point of you coming on, to be honest. Anyway, let me tell you what's coming on after past.
In other news, why are Europe furious with Boris Johnson?
Is it a band?
Yes, a band called Europe are upset that the Tories are using their song The Final Countdown at rallies, presumably because Boris Johnson had a quick glimpse of this photo of lead singer Joey Tempest and thought, I'd like to meet her.
What's Corbyn having as his song? Should I stay or should I go?
And why has Nigel Farage accused the Tories of underhand tactics this week?
He knows them very well.
He says that various Brexit candidates have been bribed or attempted to be bribed. Anne Widdecombe, she was given...
not bribed with Anne Widdecombe.
They said the Tories had offered Anne Widdecombe a place on the negotiating team with Europe.
Here she is talking about that.
If the Conservative Party seriously thought that either I could be intimidated or effectively bribed, then that was a triumph of hope over experience on their part, because they should have known me.
Do you think she's trying to tell us something with those blinks?
She's signalling to U-boats in the harbour. The mission is tonight. The grey goose flies over Krakow.
Yes, so Jennifer Arcuri has been appearing on British TV demanding an apology from Boris Johnson. After her interview with Piers Morgan, Jennifer Arcuri was still on screen as Lorraine Kelly began her show by asking, what is the point of you coming on TV? Jennifer began her reply but was cut off when Lorraine said, actually, I was talking to Piers. Fingers on buzzers, teams. Here's another one for you. Ian and Maisie.
The Labour manifesto has been announced. They're renationalising rail, mail, water and energy, which just sounds like a really rubbish sequel to Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels.
Yes, you're right, Maisie, then want to renationalise things. And basically, now everything is free.
I like the free broadband stuff.
Yeah.
The broadband, fibre. I'm sorry, indicating fibre. I'm laying
Thought
fibre.
you were pleasuring an elephant. According to the Times, Corbyn's broadband pledge is an echo of a promise by Michael Foot in 1983 to create a full cable network in public hands. Though, to be fair, back then it just meant a national network of yoghurt pots and thousands of miles of string.
Why was Michael Foot about to lay a full cable network in 1983 when there was no real internet operating?
I think it was phone lines, wasn't it?
We had universal phone commitments a long time back. This must be something else.
What you're saying is don't vote for Michael Foot in 1983?
Maybe he could see into the future. It's all those books he read.
If he could see into the future, why did he bother campaigning? And finally, there's over 3 weeks to go, but what desperate measures have the BBC gone to liven up the election?
They cancelled our show last week.
They've cancelled Would I Lie to You till the new year. They've replaced Would I Lie to You with politicians.
Yeah.
Oh, the irony. It's doing this.
We have arrived in Bishop Auckland. We're here with the ta-da BBC Breakfast coffee cart.
Right.
To talk about
Coffee.
the general election.
Right, go on then.
And so to round two, the picture spin quiz.
Oh.
Fingers on buzzers, teams.
Whoa. Who's he?
MI5 are trying to recruit working-class people and people from more diverse backgrounds.
They are indeed. According to The Sun, MI5 is targeting children of posties, train drivers, bar staff and gardeners, which is a change from their usual recruits of depressive alcoholics and closet homosexuals from the ancient universities. Isn't that right, Rory?
I'd quite like to see a working class 007, though.
Yeah.
It'd be quite cool, you know, like, I'll have a martini, but only if it's 2 for 1 on the happy hour.
Rory, apart from the fact that you went to Eton and Oxford, your father was deputy head of MI6. You've worked in the Middle East on multiple occasions and you can speak 11 languages. Why do people keep saying you're a spy?
It's because I'm a depressive alcoholic.
According to The Telegraph, you were recruited at Oxford and spent 7 years as a spy after leaving university.
So this was an amazing thing. During the leadership campaign, Boris apparently planted the story, so right front page of the Telegraph, in order to destroy my leadership campaign. I never understood it. It, like, did me more favours than anything else in the entire leadership campaign.
It's cool to be a spy.
Yeah, seriously, this is like 007.
Yeah.
Are you saying because Boris said you're a spy, it isn't true?
I know you can't say you're a spy.
No, you can't.
But you're a
because your
spy.
life would be in danger.
Yeah.
It would be irresponsible of us to ask the question again.
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah.
Blink once for yes.
If that isn't...
I blinked!
If that isn't the shy smile of a spy, I don't know what it is.
Or it was a game at Oxford that was a prank on Rory, just didn't realise, and you just went off for 7 years believing you were a spy. It was just a freshers' game that got out of hand.
Yeah. In other news, who can tell me which former Tory MP once scaled a building to break into his own office?
It was Rory.
It was Rory. Very impressive for a civilian, yeah? We know you can't say, but it's lovely to have you here. Who has been claiming they're a spy recently? Relative of the fantasist-in-chief?
Stanley Johnson.
Correct. Stanley Johnson. According to him, in the 1960s, he was recruited while studying at Oxford and giving training which included the task of blowing up the power station in Blythe on the Northumberland coast, which he did successfully. And why was Stanley Johnson only a spy for 6 months? Stanley himself told The Times, "My incompetence might have cost people their lives." It's a bit of a family trait. This is the news that MI5 want to recruit more people from diverse backgrounds. Rory Stewart has denied being a spy, but has considered going undercover. He recently told New Yorker magazine that he considered living on a council estate for 2 or 3 years to better understand British poverty. Well, you could try, Rory, but thanks to your old party, there's a 30-fucking-year waiting list. Time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features a guest publication from Rory's old stomping ground, the Penrith Ramblers Group newsletter. And we start with what mocked for looking like Phil Collins?
Lewisham Town Hall. That's right, isn't it? I can tell. It's Lewisham Town Hall.
It's not right.
But then people say it all the time. It's Phil Collins. Oh, no, it's Lewisham Town Hall.
The answer is statue of baby Jesus, mocked for looking like Phil
Oh,
Collins.
I've got to see this.
Oh.
This is a church in Mexico who accidentally installed this.
OK, give us a clue. Which is which?
And it's quite good, really. It's Genesis.
Yeah.
Good.
Next, calls to ban what in the workplace as it's making people anxious?
Work.
Oh, I think I know this. Is it Secret Santa?
It is. Calls to ban Secret Santa in the workplace as it's making people anxious.
Why?
In Secret Santa, you get told you've got to get a present for so-and-so.
Yeah, for under 10 quid, say the Private Eye Annual, all good bookshops.
All right, yeah. It's a good thing. Other annuals from satirical magazines aren't actually available. And finally, after 10 years as chairman of the Penrith Ramblers Group, Graham was presented with what in recognition of his achievements?
A pair of golden hiking boots, signed by Craig Revel Horwood.
That is much better than what he got.
Is it a Private Eye Annual? Just for $9.99?
No, it's better than that.
There is nothing better than that.
A £5 Woolworths voucher.
How dare you?
It is. Graham was presented with a certificate and book token.
You know what he can do with that book token?
Yeah.
Just saying.
He can shove it up his arse, can't he?
So the final scores are... Paul and Rory have 2 points, but Ian and Maisie are the winners with 6.
Hey!
I never will. You are a genius. Thank you. But before we go, there's just time for the caption competition.
Looks like we'll be dogging again tonight. And I'm not saying who's saying it. But it's her with a cup.
And I leave you with news that, after claiming they could be Britain's next Prime Minister, one party leader adds some vital punctuation to the words could be. There's panic at a Labour event to announce costings for their manifesto as one candidate realises her fingers only go up to 10. And in London, after appearing on a comedy news quiz, one candidate reassesses his chances of becoming mayor. Good night.
Youth and young manhood is never easy, but this lot don't do themselves any favours. BBC 3's The Young Offenders is streaming now.